Hey everybody, what's going on? Hope you guys are doing good. I am doing just great. So right here, I am with the neck for the Wilkinson's Telecaster. And again, the reason why I call it a Wilkinson's Telecaster, because I'm using a lot of Wilkinson's parts on here. Basically, all the hardware is going to be Wilkinson's and some of the electronics. So I've already changed out the edge where the binding is, the same binding that's on the body of the guitar, and I have the neck right now is leveled. I'm mixing up some epoxy, and I've already painted the inside of where the old inlays used to be silver, and you'll see why I chose silver in a little bit after I get this epoxy mixed up really good. Now I want to add some pigments to it, so I have these powdered pearl pigments that you add to your epoxy resins, and they're not liquid, so I don't have to worry about them like not being water based or alcohol based or something like that. The worst thing you could do is use something that is going to be oil based in an epoxy resin, because it is not going to cure and cause a bunch of problems. So I'm not going to use a lot of this. But I do want to change the outcome of the epoxy resin itself to give it somewhat of a kind of a different look to it. Now this, you're going to have to mix up really good. And so you can kind of see it's got like a pearl look to it. Now, I don't need any more of this. In fact, I probably put a little bit too much inside there. And once I get it all mixed up really good, now I'm mixing this fast. I don't have to worry about air bubbles and stuff like that, because I'm not doing a deep pour. All I'm doing is kind of a light drip into the openings. Now another color I want to put inside here is a little bit of gold. And this will do right here. So I don't want to put a lot, because that's going to change a lot of the coloring of this, but I do want to have that little bit of a swirl going on. Put some of that back. Alright. And that's going to make the inlays kind of pop out a little bit, especially in the lighting. And it's giving me a little bit of the same color as the binding. Mix this up really good. Now these inlays, on some of these necks, they're a bitch to get out. And this was, not that easy to pop these out. And what I do is sometimes I'll use a little bit of acetone to loosen up the inlay itself, and sometimes I can like get on the edge of it, especially if the inlay is sticking up just a hair. I can get on the edge of it and pull it out. These were locked in pretty good, and I couldn't do that. I had to chip them away, and like I said, it wasn't fun. So this is getting up to the way that I want it. I need a toothpick so I can do the swirling. I get a couple of them out. Now the fun way of doing this is just a drop pour. So I'll be using the tongue compressor to drop fill these guys in. And what I want to do is kind of get some of this off of here so I don't make a mess. And what I do is I just end up kind of swirling it around and just dropping it in place, making sure I get up to all of the corners, spread around if I need to. Now this is going to give me kind of like a look of pearloid type of a inlay. And how I want this to be done is I want this to be bubbled a little bit above the edges of the wood itself. That way it gives me kind of like a high spot look. So now I have to be careful of how much I drop so I don't overfill it. Alright, so that looks pretty good. It's all the way up to the edges. That silver that's on the bottom will kind of make this so it's a little bit transparent. If I get any of this on the fretboard, I'm not really worried about, because I have to make sure that the radius is correct on the fretboard and sand down these inlays. Alright, so that's pretty much filled the way I want it. Now this is going to shrink a little bit. Not by much, but it is going to shrink. And what the nice thing about, if this shrinks, I won't have to mix up any color. All I have to do is put a clear on top of it if it shrinks too much. Make sure it gets all the corners up to the edges. So I did something that may cause a little bit of controversy on YouTube, especially with another YouTuber that is kind of well known for building guitars and building custom guitars. And I picked this up off of eBay, and I sent the original designer and builder a message on one of his videos about buying this guitar and the reason why I bought it. And you know, I'm not really a flying V type of a person as far as guitar goes, but I do kind of like the style and the look of them. I'm just not liking playing them and trying to, you know, balance them on my leg and stuff like that, but I do like the guitar itself. So I sent him a message saying that I bought one of these, not to really kick him in the ass as far as buying it, since it is a Chinese copy of what he built, and I want to see what the quality of this guitar is going to be like. If it's going to be, you know, any good. If it's going to be something that you know, well, it's just another Chinese guitar, and you know, it's not going to be worth the fuck because of the fact that it's a copy of something else. Now, from what I understand, the guitar was built for Metallica as a giveaway guitar or a raffle guitar, and to basically make some money to help out a charity. And there wasn't supposed to be any more of these around, but you know, the Chinese, they gotta copy everything that we do. So hopefully this won't be a big deal to the owner of, or the designer of this guitar, and I'll be able to, you know, it'll be just another wall hanger. You know, I might try it out and see what it's like, but again, it's probably going to be another wall hanger. Alright, so what I'm doing here is finishing up this fill. Alright, that's about it. Now what I'm going to do is take the toothpick and swirl this around inside here. It's starting to cure up a little bit. And I'm not going to worry about those ones all the way at the bottom because they're really hard to try to swirl them. Get the bubbles out. And then I'll try to see if there's any more bubbles that come up to the surface after this starts to not so much cure up, but settle in. And let me bring you down here so I can show you what this looks like. Alright, so when I mean I want this bubbled up a little bit, it's basically bubbled up to the point where it sticks up just a little bit higher than the fretboard itself. And that gives me room for shrinkage and also a room for sanding and leveling it off with the fretboard itself. So as you can see, there's the binding. If you look at the binding and you look at the inlays, pretty nice match, huh? And I went with a Telecaster style headstock neck, and I think I'm going to change the shape of it a little bit, and then still have room for the string retainers or string trees. But yeah, that's it. And as you can see, binding worked out pretty nice. Alright, so that's it for right now, and we'll end up seeing later on the outcome of this and how this is going to be as far as what it looks like when it's complete neck. Alright guys, take it easy, have a good one, and I will catch up with you later.